1 second, I will mute myself. All right, perfect. Okay, so let us all close our eyes and take a deep breath and exhale. And as we keep breathing, let us visualize this beautiful, purifying air coming inside of our lungs, penetrating our brain, cleaning our heart, our thoughts, and preparing ourselves for us to elevate our thoughts to our mentors, to our Lord Jesus Christ, which we give thanks for the amazing opportunity that we have to be gathered in His name, for us to study, for us to grow, for us to exchange, and to, of course, receive the blessings of the knowledge. May our heart be opened. May our mind be opened and focused in one single vibration, so we can download what is necessary for our spiritual ascending and for the awakening of our divine senses. We appreciate the presence of our teachers, of our mentors, and as we ask for guidance, we also ask for permission to start today's class. And so be it.
And so it is.
And so it is. All right.
Wow. Hi, Patricia. Hi, Kirk.
Yeah, hi, Kirk. Good to see you here. All right, everyone. So, as I was mentioning to some of you, today we will have a kind of an extensive chapter. So, I don't know if we will be able to cover everything today. I will make sure that we have a couple of minutes for us to discuss, for you to bring your questions. And if necessary, we can keep this chapter next week. So, today we'll talk about the communicability with the spirits, the ability for us to talk to them. And just as a quick recap to what we saw so far, because everything is foundational to everything that we are studying, let us always remember that the pillars for the Spiritism are philosophy, science, and religion. So, although it's a mix of philosophy and science, it has the religion's consequences, because it is by our choice that we define our destiny, our progress, and the purification of our soul. So the beliefs that we practice in Spiritism are 5. First is the existence of God and one unique God. The second is the existence of spirits and their survival after death. The third is the reincarnation. Fourth is the multitude of inhabited worlds. The fifth is the communicability of the spirits. So, a quick recap of what we saw in the previous classes. God, when asked by Allan Kardec on the Spirit's book, what is God? The answer is God is the supreme intelligence, the first cause of all things. And we saw the attributes of God, that it's immutable, it's all powerful, it's all justice, and is unique. And as a unique God, what pleases God, what helps us to move forward towards God, is to do unto others what we wish them to do unto us. This was said by Jesus, and this is the most and foremost important law for our progress. So every time if we are in doubt, let's try to be on our brothers and sisters' shoes. As part of the creation, we have the universal Trinity that is made of God, Spirit, and matter. And in between, we have the universal fluid, which is going to be the next class after the communicability of the spirits. But it is the integration between the universal fluid with spirit and matter that creates everything that we see and everything that we are. We will have a specific class to talk about this. Very interesting topic, because universal fluid is specifically the fluid that enables the exchange of vibration, and again, the creation of everything that is matter or intelligent. When thinking about our spirit, we have at least three layers of spirit. So we have our physical body, our perispirit, and our spirit. So our physical body is the material envelope which holds our soul when we are incarnated. The perispirit is a more fluidic material between the physical body and the spirit in the spirit state. But our perispirit, as I keep saying, this is our baggage. This is what we. This is where we will retain everything that we lived in our life. So our perispirit is where we keep carrying lifetime after lifetime all of our emotions, all of our knowledge, all of our intellect that we acquired. It is in the perispirit. And we have the spirit state, which is really the most fluidic essence of our soul. And then there are three classes, three orders of spirits. So the first order are the third order, sorry, are the impure spirits, which are also divided between classes. So from 10th class to 6th class are all spirits that are still ignorant, that they are still with a lot of tendencies for the evil. So those are spirits that still need a lot of trials for them to understand the progress. The second order are the good spirits, which are spirits with a little bit more knowledge, that they do not have the tendency for evil, but they are still evolving their intellect. So in the second order, the good spirits will be classified between the fifth order and the fifth class and the second class. And then the first order are the pure spirits, which are the ones that evolved everything. And in this one, there is only one class, which are the perfect spirits. There is kind of not an overlap, but it is a very blurred line when a spirit is in evolution between one order and the other. And of course, that everything changes with the intention of the spirit. So it's important for us to know that it's not because the soul left the body and became a spirit that all of a sudden that spirit became someone that is enlightened. It doesn't happen. We will also discuss about this, but remember that the perispirit carries the emotions, the memories. So when the soul becomes a spirit again in an errant state, which is when a soul is not incarnated, this means that spirit is still feeling what had felt on earth. So if it's attached on earth, this spirit's going to keep looking for what satiates its needs. We also have the reincarnation. So the reincarnation exists as a means of progress and purification. So when understanding the reincarnation, we understand that it strengthens the family ties. Instead of that was my mother, now it's not my mother anymore. It's absolutely not that. We keep acquiring friends, and all of our acquaintances, they keep working with us and for us. So it definitely engenders the universal love, because this helps us to understand that whoever is in here might have been someone very dear to all of us. And that's another opportunity for us to step towards tolerance, because each and every one that we encounter might have had an experience with us in the past, which we don't know if we caused any harm or if caused any harm to us. And this is one of the blessed opportunities, one of the blessed reasons why we just forget about our previous life, so then we can truly be ourselves and bring the sense of brotherhood. So then we really, regardless of our emotions, all the things that like brings us our scars, the scars of our soul, we can truly exercise the love, the tolerance, the patience, and the brotherhood. And then, of course, it raises the sense of renew, because it's always a new opportunity for us to do better and to do all over. And again, it elongates the time sense. So, this is important also for us not to forget that, for us not to judge. If we are feeling like judging someone because I know that person, the person is not changing and he or she needs to do different because of this, because of that, be really, really careful, because we are seeing just one lifetime and we do not have the ability, and neither should we have, for us to understand what happened in the past and the reasons why the person is doing that or is doing this or that. So be careful, do not judge. We also saw last week the multitude of inhabited worlds, and that was beautiful because we understood that each world fits for the purpose of those specific type of spirits. So we learned that we have different orders of spirits. Every world is specific to the needs of progress of that specific spirit. So we have the less evolved worlds, the intermediary ones, and the more evolved ones. So the less evolved are the ones that the souls are very primitive, very, very much attached to the material needs. And then in the between, we have the worlds of trials and expiations. And trials and expiations, again, they are the worlds where we will feel the consequences of our choices. And when we are in an ignorant state, our choices are not always pure, right? And that's the reason why we go through trials, so then our soul can learn how to make better choices. Once we learn to do that, we go for the worlds of regeneration. In the world of regeneration, we still go to some expiations, but it doesn't necessarily bring so much suffering as we see in the worlds of trials and expiations. So during the regeneration is when our soul kind of rests a little bit of the fatigue and the struggles, but it's still very much material. Then we have the happy worlds where good outweighs evil. And this is the transition for more evolved worlds where we will find heavenly or divine worlds where good reigns completely. And for those who missed last class, planet Earth is transitioning from trials and expiation to a world of regeneration. And this transition is something that happens along years and years and years, if not centuries. So there is this amazing mentor called Manuel Filomeno de Miranda. He is a spirit, and he gifted us with three amazing books explaining to us this transition, why this transitioning is happening, how this transitioning is happening, how it influences on us, and how it is influenced in the spiritual realm. So it's easier for us to understand some of the things that we are feeling, some of the things that we are facing, and it even helps us to grow our tolerance, our patience, and understanding of the reasons why things that are happening are happening. So if you are interested, there is a huge suggestion for you to see. So the first book, it's called Planetary Transition. The second is called The Dawn of a New Era. And the third one is On the Way to the World of Regeneration. This one was written right during COVID. So it has a lot of information about how the virus brought so many changes. So very interesting. We might even have this book as a book study group at BSH. So stay tuned if you want to study with us. Any question on our recap? All right. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the communicability with the spirits. What is the fact? What is mediumship? Which are the types of mediumship? How do we develop, and which are the dangers of mediumship? So, how we can be prepared to that. So, the very first thing is it's a natural fact to communicate with spirits. There is nothing supernatural about that as we would think years and years ago. Allan Kardec, in the Medium's book, says spirits are nothing but the souls of human beings stripped of their physical body. And for those who are not familiar, this is the book that I'm talking about. This is the Medium's book. And this is the size of the book that explains to us mediumship. So we should not think that just a couple of discussions here, we will understand about mediumship. We really have to understand the details, so then we know which are the tools that are available for us to develop that sense. But one of the things that Allan Kardec invites us to start the discussion about mediumship is that this is not supernatural. It is part of divine law. Why do I keep losing my? It's part of the divine law, especially because we know that after our physical death, our soul continue with their individuality. What does that mean? That means that when the soul gets out of the body, it keeps thinking. Remember that we studied that what is a spirit? A spirit is the intelligent principle. So, being the intelligent principle, how would Chris die and stop thinking? So, that doesn't happen. We keep thinking. We also keep our feeling. Remember that we have the perispirit. The perispirit is our baggage that we put on that things that are heavy or not. But we bring our emotions with us. So if we are sad, if we are jealous, if we are grieving, when we transition, which we never know when it's going to happen, guess what? We will carry those feelings. If we are in peace, when we transition, we will keep our peace. We also learned that the souls can travel. Speed and distance have another relation because the body is so fluidic that the more we purify, the more we advance, the easier it is for spirits to travel. The same with pass through. Because there is no matter, the fluid flows in a very different way. So we know that the souls can travel. And because of the radiation that the spirits can emanate, the souls can act upon matter. And then, of course, that everything depends on the degree of the purity of this faculty. And this faculty, I mean the intelligent principle that we are developing. So it is more or less applicable depending on, again, the development of the spirit. But imagine yourself. We just pass. And then you wake up and then you learn that you're not in the physical realm anymore. You can go anywhere. You can still feel love for those who you love or hate for those who you hate. You can still think about them and you can act upon matter. Why would we just sit and stay or do whatever other than go and try to talk with those who we love? So that's why it is not supernatural. It is natural. The reason why we still do not have that faculty opened is because we are developing our physical sense. And this development is something that is not new. So again, the ability to communicate with spirits, it's something that started long, 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 long ago in ancient times. The thing is that in ancient times, it was specific, the study and the ability to talk to spirits was very specific to some private meetings that to people of some special class. And as we unveil Spiritism, as we unveil the opportunity to talk to spirits, we learn that it's not something new. So before we go through all the understanding, let me just keep an eye on time. I just would like to make sure that we are all on the same page with what each one of those words mean. So the mediumship is the exercise of the mediumistic faculty, and mediumistic is the action of being the intermediary between incarnate and discarnate soul. And medium is the interpreter of the spirits, with more or less development of the mediumistic faculties. Is that clear? Let me see if I can see some faces here. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes, yes, awesome.
Yes.
Cool. So, this mediumistic interchange is a result of a perception that is occurring beyond matter. So that's why sometimes we think that it's something that, oh my gosh, I forgot the word, that is supernatural. It's not supernatural, it's extrasensorial perception. But it's also followed by an attunement, where the emotions and ideas of the discarnate are captured by the incarnate. So follow me on this thing here. Let me see if I can do something. So this is the spirit, and the spirit is emanating vibrations, is emanating radiation. As soon as it emanates this radiation, the perispirit of this incarnated body is in attunement of this thought, this idea, this vibration. This is when one can connect with the other. So the spirit's perispirit and the incarnated perispirit, they connect thoughts through the universal fluid. And we will discuss the universal fluid in another class. But remember that the universal fluid is the fluid that, when connected with the spirit and when connected with matter, creates the effects, recreate everything as we know. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So one thing that it was very interesting question on the spirits book, they said that the good spirits, they sympathize with all good men and women, those who are capable of betterment. The same way, lower order spirits, they sympathize with those who are ignorant or who may become evil. In either case, the bond is a consequence of the similarity of thoughts and ideas. So, friends, what are we learning here? We are learning that our thoughts, our intentions, they will capture all of those who also have the same intention and the same emotions. So imagine yourself only by curiosity trying to talk to spirits, as it was happening. Remember when we were discussing right at the first class the turning tables? Remember what were the turning tables? Those were just shows. They were just showcasing for people that the spirits could come. In Brazil, and Patricia will remember that, there was the cup.
I do.
You remember that, Patty? There
Yes.
was the cup or the pen. You would make a question, run the pen, and then the pen would answer if yes or no. All those types of interactions, they are just for curiosity, simple curiosity. Imagine the spirits that are answering those questions. Those are spirits that are having fun. They are just for entertainment, just as we are. So we have to be very, very careful with when we try to do that, because if we if we attract someone with the same entertainment intention and we do not have our emotions balanced, what happens is that the spirit's going to be attached to us. And then it starts all the sayings that the person is obsessed, the person is possessed, and all the kind of sayings. We are attaching ourselves to someone with the same intention. We are allowing our emotions to vibrate at the same level of someone that is just trying to, I don't know, make fun or do harm to us. So we have to be very, very careful with our emotions and our intentions. And the spirits say that the influence of the spirits upon our thoughts and actions, either for the good or for the evil, is way greater than you suppose, for very frequently it is they who guide you. Imagine that, my friends. Imagine that we believe that we have we are receiving suggestions way more often than what we realize. What does that mean for us? What type of thoughts are we nurturing? What type of feelings are we nurturing? Or we are allowing ourselves to be suggested for. And you can't say, Chris, you know what? I'm not a medium. So it doesn't affect me. I'm not super affected by spirits, I'm sure, because I tried. No, friends. Every individual who senses the influence of spirits, which is all of us, to any degree of intensity, is a medium. Mediumship is a faculty that is inherent to humankind. So if we are human, we receive the influence of the spirits. It's not an exclusive privilege. It's not. So again, we have to be careful because all of us have some type of mediumship. Either if we are conscient about that, either if we are not. Either if it's full developed, either if it's not. The spirits tell us that this faculty expresses itself through patent effects of a certain intensity dependent on more or less sensitive physical organization. What does that mean? Oops. That means that, again, when we look at, when we look at everything that was created, the intelligent principle, the matter which is the bond, and the universal fluid, everything flows by thoughts. Everything flows by thinking. So again, this is another call out for us to be aware of our thoughts, for us to be aware of our thinking, because we are learning that all of us are mediums. All of us receives effects from the spirits, either good, either bad. And all of us will attract those who are in tune with our emotions. So that's why emotional intelligence is such an important topic if we are willing to develop our moral. And through the universal fluid, those thoughts can penetrate my mind, your mind, Have you ever had that sensation like someone say something that you were just thinking of that and you say, "Oh, I was just thinking the same thing." Or, "Oh my gosh, someone just called me." This is the attunement of the thought. Can we say that this is a type of mediumship? If there is a spirit being the intermediary, if there is a spirit talking to you and you are being the intermediary between this communication, this is a type of mediumship. So, mediumship by André Luiz. Remember, we talked about André Luiz last week. He was a doctor. When he discarnated, everything was a surprise for him. So, as he understood more and more about the spirituality, he started writing books for us. And the books from André Luiz are amazing because he has a very how can I say, scientific way of explaining things for us because he was a doctor. So he kind of, it's easier for him to explain to all of us on our common language, I would say, how things happen. So in the book Evolution into Worlds, he says that mediumship is one attribute of human beings which is used to communicate with spirits. So again, it's a means of communication. We should be aware that when talking to spirits, what's the reason behind that? And then we can talk with spirits in many different ways. Again, there is a huge book here explaining all of that to us. So each medium, each person has generally a special aptitude or special gift in some special order of phenomena, resulting in as a great variety of medium as of the phenomena that the medium is able to do. And everything will depend on the way that the communication happens between the incarnate spirit and the discarnate spirit. So if the communication happens through third eye to third eye, if the communication happens through the perispirit to the other perispirit, if it's just by thought, so everything changes, and the way that it will be perceived by the incarnate, by the other incarnate people, will be different. So these are the different types, and I didn't bring the extensive detail of each one of those types. I'm happy to bring, if we are all interested, I'm happy to bring next week, but just a high level of what each one of them are. So the physical effects, and I do have the book here in case anyone wants more details. But the physical effects are those mediums that are capable of acting upon matter. The turning tables are a great example of that. So the physical effects, they can happen either with the spirit knowing that he or she is causing that effect or not. So this also differs by the degree of the spirit and by the degree of the medium. So if depending on, when you keep hearing noises somewhere, or when the spirit is purposefully using the physical effect for intelligent communication, for a communication with a purpose, then it's going to be easier for the medium to perceive and work on that. The sensitive or impressionable mediums are the ones who can sense the spirit, and it's very, very common. Those are the ones they cannot really say where is the spirit, who is the spirit, but they can sense the spirit. And the more that these mediums develop this ability, the mediumship faculty, the easier it's going to be to perceive if it's a spirit with good intentions, if it's spirit with bad intentions, especially because the sensation that the spirit emanates will be good or bad, so the person can perceive that. And it's very common. I mean, don't we feel sometimes we are talking to someone and then all of a sudden we feel like our energy is like, oh my gosh, my energy was sucked. It's because we are sensing something that is very, very strong, not from a good, not necessarily from a good spirit in there. So this is a type of mediumship. There are the hearing mediums. The hearing mediums are those who can hear voices of the spirits, and that can also differ from an inner voice that you just hear inside of your head, or a very clear voice that you hear coming from the outside. And for those who even develop the mediumship, the mediumistic faculty, they can never understand the different tone of voice and can differ who the spirit is. Just like if we are receiving a call from anyone that we know the voice. The speaking mediums, those who hear are not necessarily the speaking. The speaking mediums are the ones who voice is used by the spirits. So it's different. Someone can hear and replicate what is being heard, or the thought or the intention. And the speaking is when the spirit uses the voice. And in this case, sometimes the voice even changes, even if the person don't know how to make that voice. And for those who know Tanya, whenever she's giving messages from Dr. Paulo gives messages through her, and he has a very specific voice, and this is a type of speaking mediumship. There are also those who can see, and this seeing mediumship is it's again an interesting one. This can happen in times of when the mediumship is opening. It can stay for forever or not, but this is when it's really important to study, and it's here on the books, especially because this is the moment where if we do not study, we are very susceptible. Is this word correct? Susceptible, not only to our imagination, but also to the suggestions that we receive from the spirits from lower orders. So those who have the ability to see all of us must study, but the seeing ones is very dangerous because again, you can mix that with your illusions, you can mix that with the projections that are made for you, and this can just drive you like in a very uncomfortable situation. So seeing is a sign that something's going on, your mediumship is opening. Go look for studying and understanding how to educate your mediumship.
Kiki, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay. So the seeing is that like clairvoyant?
Yep.
Or okay. And then so when you say seeing, it's not necessarily that the actual thing manifests like, as like a material thing, but it's like more like maybe within their mind's eye they see.
Yes, there are different levels of clairvoyance. One of them is when you can see clearly with your third eye, and that's the reason why some can see even with closed eyes. It's because you're using your third eye, so you have closed eyes and you can still see that. And there are those who, even with the eyes open, can see things. And these can also be mixed with the spirits that have ability of physical effects. Because some spirits can materialize themselves and you can see, but what you see is their perispirit.
Right. Okay.
So there is a little bit of mixing that, but usually you see with your third eye.
Yeah, a lot of that goes on with some of the mentally ill that we see around the city. They're talking, they see them, they're fighting,
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I was reading it was one of Emmanuel's book, and the woman was saying, she was like, she had met with Jesus and she went home and then she was like seeing Jesus again. And I think that was a type of mediumship that Emmanuel was describing to us in this book anyway. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're covering this tonight because I was wondering.
That's good.
Thank you.
And then the other thing in somnambulistic mediumship, it's also very common alongside the clairvoyance or the seeing mediumship, because some people, some mediums, they can see when they are in a state of somnambulistic, or even when they are dreaming. So it's very, very common that people with somnambulistic mediumship, they can even see their own spirit. So they can see things going on their own body. They can see things going on their own situation, because it's easier, because they are in that state that it's easier for them to see themselves, to see the own soul. And again, this can happen either during sleep or during the person is awake and it's in that somnambulistic state. Very common together with the clairvoyance. There are the healing mediums, and those are the mediums with the ability to heal people just by looking at them or staying with them or touching them. And this is very much related, and there is a very brief explanation on this in the Medium's book, and I think there is a greater explanation on the Missionaries of Light from André Luiz, where he speaks, and the oh my gosh, what is the other book that he wrote? The Way to the Light. I think that's the book. That he gives greater explanation on how it works. And we will be able to understand a little bit more when we study the universal fluid. But essentially, those are the mediums with huge potential to manipulate magnetism. So, and it's not that the medium is a healer, but what happens is that the medium is under influence of healing doctors, and they have a huge capacity, a huge ability to enable that magnet to flow through them. Therefore, the person can receive the healing, can receive the blessings, and that's why BSH, for instance, does this work of healing services. We are called Bezerra Spiritual Healing Service, because this is how the mediums of BSH work with the healing doctors on high. So it's not that the medium is a healer, but it has a great gift of enabling this magnet to flow through their hands with their fluids and the fluids from the healing doctors. Then there is the pneumatographic, and this one is when a spirit uses the medium's hand to write. And this one is very rare, but this is the one, when the difference between when you hear and you say, so the voice is not used, this is when the hand is used. So even the calligraphy, if that word's correct, the calligraphy is even the same of the spirit, because the person is just borrowing the hand. And there are the writing or the psychographical mediums, which is a very common one as well, where the medium can write by the influence, by the suggestions of a spirit, not necessarily someone is writing through the hands of the medium. So those are the high level. There are many other sub groups, I would say, because again, it all depends on how everything is manifested. But those are the high level types. And if you're interested to understand more about this, let me know. I'm happy to bring more information next week. For those who want to read on the book, this is chapter 14 of the mediums book. It explains all the different types of mediums. So all of these different ways of communicating with spirits, they can happen in two different levels. And it differs, again, according to the abilities of the physical perception. There is the subliminal mediumship and the ostensive mediumship. The subliminal mediumship, it exists or it functions without an apparent manifestation. So a great example of a subliminal mediumship is right now. So definitely I'm receiving suggestions and ideas from the teachers. My English today is bad, I'm sorry, friends. From the teaching spirits, and I am giving that to you, but it's not apparent. It's not apparent. Very, very common nowadays through the perceptions and the suggestions. This is the one that all of us are receiving. So if you feel like you don't have mediumship, you do, and this is the type of mediumship that you have. It's subliminal. There are also those who have the ostensive mediumship, and this mediumship is that one that is evident to the medium, who can either be conscious, semi-conscious, or unconscious during the manifestation. So this is the type of mediumship when someone is clearly speaking through a medium, or someone is writing, or you are like there is a healing manifestation and things like that. Very, very common in the past. And the reason why, it's because it was necessary to make the communication with the spirits very popular. In Brazil, it was very common to see people all of a sudden start speaking. Like normal person, not like crazy persons or people that live in streets that we know that are under a lot of influence. But like someone, it was in the supermarket and the person would start having a manifestation. This type of ostensive mediumship happens when the medium do not educate the mediumship. And that's why it is super important, especially for those who have ostensive mediumship, because if you do not educate yourself, it's open, and then the spirits can come, and then you will see them when you don't want to see, you will hear them when you don't want to hear. You will not be able to get the support from the spirits on high because you don't even know how to reach out to them. So if you do have ostensive mediumship, make sure to educate yourself. There is.
I have a question when you're done.
Yeah.
So you've said that a few times, like educate yourself. And what specifically does that mean, or what steps would you take to actually educate yourself on this?
Yeah. So the first thing, and we will talk about that, Kirk, but the first thing is to understand, what do you want to do with that mediumship? Because that will drive your intentions, and your intentions will drive whatever you will have to do. So let's say that you have an ostensive mediumship for I don't know, seeing. If you start seeing things, again, you will be open to suggestions, and you will be open to see things even when you do not want that. So educate yourself means, 1, perceive what type of spirit is approaching you. Then understand what you can do. We know that we have very little tools. The most important tools that we will have is to suggest those spirits to look for our mentors. And for the spirits, let's say from BSH, for instance, you can ask for Dr. Bezerra's support and say, Dr. Bezerra, I'm seeing here a spirit that is in need, and I would like to support. You do a prayer, you ask for the benevolent spirits to come and to support. But the most important thing is, again, the intention. Let's say that you start praying, but you do not believe that that spirit will go away. That spirit won't go away, because your thought is impregnated and is attracting that spirit. And that's the reason why, when you understand yourself, when you are able to balance your emotions, breathe calmly, understand that you are surrounded by the good spirits, and you create that environment that will support and assist you, it's going to be a total different experience. Instead of being afraid, or instead of being surprised by seeing that spirit, you will understand that there is a reason why you were able to see that spirit. So be the bridge. Be the bridge for that spirit to be awakened. This is what mediumistic meetings, this is exactly what happens. So when we have, and we will talk about that later as well, but when we have those spiritist centers that bring everybody together for us to vibrate, a lot of spirits come. Some of them don't even know that they have passed. And we have to talk to them. Imagine, it's a friend, it's a brother, it's a sister in need. Some of them come calm, some of them come very, very angry. Imagine if we are not confident. Imagine if we are not balanced to talk to someone that is desperate. It's going to be a mess for everybody. It's not going to be a good experience for the medium. It's not going to be a good experience for the spirit. So that's the reason why study, and when we say study, is read the books, understand the facts that are causing, understand what is causing the effects on you. Understand what is the effect that your emotions cause in the environment. Understand which are the tools that you have, and this is what the books will unveil. And then again, the more that we practice, the easier it's going to be for us to perceive if the spirit that we are encountering is bringing to us a good message, is a mentor trying to enlighten us, or is someone that is in need, or is someone trying to bring us any type of harm. But it's an educational process. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Does that answer?
Yes, it does. Very much so. That was very clear. Thank you.
Of course. So mediumship, it's not an evolutive patrimony of the spirit. It represents a neutral force capable of elevating or lowering the individual according to the direction it receives. That's why, again, it is so important that we learn how to differ a good spirit from a bad spirit. Imagine someone that starts writing, and then the person is completely sure that it's hearing the voice of someone that is very dear to him or to her. And then the message is saying something like, I don't know, Chris, you have to abandon your family and go after whatever. If we study, we understand the type of messages that we will receive. We will understand the language, we will understand the suggestions that are coming, and we will have more confidence that that doesn't look like a letter that would come from a spirit that is purified, that has good intentions. So I appreciate the opportunity of understanding. Thank you, my mentor, for protecting me. I ask the benefactors to take this friend to the schools of spirituality, so then he or she can be educated as well. Do a prayer, allow yourself to be good, allow the person to be good, and move on. And I just want to go one more slide, and then we can stop for questions if we want. One can say, but Moses was the first one who said, "Do not talk to the spirits." I mean, we don't like mediums. You cannot consult the dead. And then Allan Kardec, in the book Heaven and Hell, he tells us that this prohibition was very well justified because the intentions behind the communication, it didn't have the sentiment of respect, affection, or pity toward the spirits. It was all about curiosity. It was all about fortune telling. So when we start this journey of talking and trying to understand this communication, there are no sacrifices of children or any offer to honor the gods. That's not what God requests for us. What God requests is internal transformation, is moral development, period. Period. No sacrifices, no offers. It does not try to understand the future. There is a reason why we do not know our future. And there is also a reason why we do not know our past. Sometimes, if allowed, when it's revealed to us, if it does not have the intention to enlighten, to support, to progress, then it's something that it's not useful for us. And if it's not useful, do not spend your time on that, because we are not spending the time on the right thing. The third thing is reject making business of it. This communication, as we saw, is a faculty that any of us have it. If we are gifted with any type of ostensive mediumship, we will see the reasons why, but definitely it is for us to help each other, for us to enlighten ourselves, to enlighten humankind. That's exactly the difference between Allan Kardec and anyone else who was just talking to the spirits to talk to the spirits. Allan Kardec made a useful purpose of that communication. And here we are, now understanding where we are going, why we are here. So do not motivate yourself by only curiosity or even greed. I know that sometimes we are keen to talk to someone dear to us that has left this world, but we have to be very, very careful, because if the spirit is also not in a position of enlightenment, we are going to tune ourselves and we are not going to help each other, because both of us, the incarnate and the discarnate, will be connected by grief and will not enlighten and progress. There is a lot for us to talk, friends, but I will stop talking now, so then we can discuss a little bit, and hopefully we have time to ask questions if you have any.
I have a question, but as I think it's more like a curiosity thing. So like you talk about like mediumship and stuff, but like, how do you know? Like, sometimes I feel things and I think I see things. Like, how do you know that what you're seeing and what you're feeling is real?
Yeah. Well, this is definitely something that we will have to. It's only through experience. This is not Chris answering this. There is the book saying, through experience you will be able to have more clarity on your type of mediumship. There are very clear things that we have in the medium's book that tells us if this is something good or not. But if that's true or not is something that you have to learn to develop by, this is my thought, is this a suggestion, or is this something that a mentor is telling me? Usually, if it's something that keeps telling you to do something that is not going to do good for you or for anyone else, that's not a suggestion. That's not a good suggestion. Another thing that it also says is, if you feel something towards, or if you think about, those are two different things. Usually, when a spirit is suggesting something to us, it stays in our head. You can't let that go. And it's always something saying, hi, Chris, do you remember that person? That person said that. How come? Why? Why did that to you? That's it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. That's your head. If you serene your mind, and that's why prayer is so important. You serene your mind. You ask for forgiveness. You forgive yourself. You tune yourself with your higher mentor. You will feel. And then if you feel that intention of killing someone, that's you. That's you having to, like, you have to manage that emotion. Like, that is your emotion. It's not from someone else. And of course, you will acquire people with the same suggestion. So then it's when you will start feeling things like, I can't stop feeling this because I am thinking that. But try to revert your emotion. If you keep thinking about something different, then you will see that it's your head, not your suggestion.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing to do, because sometimes, like, I don't remember what book I read that, like, you cannot go back in time and redo your past, but you can always redo your future.
Yep. Yep.
So I think that is such a deep message, because sometimes, like, we're just so bound to our past, and you feel like that's it, right? That you cannot relive, you cannot rewrite your future, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that and I think, like, when I feel like about, like, if I'm seeing something or this and that, like, it's just, I don't know, it's just very strange to me, because, like, I grew up in a household with a family that didn't believe in this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, a very, very critical and very, like, judgmental. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard for me to kind of, like, rewrite all these ideas in my head.
Yeah. But Patty, that's the reason why you are not alone in this journey. So if you are being exposed to all of this, your mentor is guiding you. And one thing that we always have to be very, very careful about is the same time that we have all of our friends giving us good suggestions, we also have our bad friends giving us suggestions like, do not read this. Why? This huge book? Ah, that's boring. I'm gonna sleep. And then in the other hand, you have, but if I'm feeling this, why am I feeling that? So when you have this intention about discovering things, why not, if you are doing good to yourself? So that's why we say, do I want you to come every Wednesday? Of course I want. But more than that, I want you to be able to be consistent in your learning, because as you have your mentor bringing you and giving you, like, if you are seeing things, friend, this is your mentor telling you it's a good time for you to understand this a little bit more. I mean, everything is driving you to it. So that's when we have to be more and more careful with our emotions, with our thoughts, with our actions. So we will see next class more and more how much we are always receiving suggestions.
And
Always.
I wanted to add that too. It's all of us have a past and some things are traumatic, and that's part of your past, and it's natural for it to come up because it creates scars. But the other side of it is we can choose to understand that and create take that opportunity as a learning opportunity. That's something that you don't want to repeat. So then this is an opportunity to understand that it's an emotional scar, there's emotional intelligence, there's emotional feelings. And I just want to say that I think that happens to most, or if not all of us.
Yeah. And this is exactly the reason why we have, when we think about forgiveness, when we are praying the Lord's Prayer, is we forgive ourselves as we forgive others. So we cannot be that harsh with ourselves. We have to respect that we are in our ladder of evolution as well. So we will make mistakes. And the more we awake, the clearer those mistakes will be for us. But we cannot keep beating ourselves exactly because of we always have a new day. God is so good and bless us so much. We always have a new day, a whole new opportunity for new decisions. What what decision am I going to make about this today?
Just on a side note, I don't call them mistakes. I always call them learning opportunities.
True. Teresa, you want to say something, friend?
Could you explain? Could you explain a little bit more that last sentence? It said something like, "Mediumship is not evolutive. It's not a patrimony of the spirit." Can you explain that a little bit better?
Yeah. So the mediumship is a faculty that all of us have. All of us have. And it's not that only spirits that are very evolved have mediumship. You do have spirits that are not so morally evolved with an open mediumship, with an ostensive mediumship. And the reasons why is because we are using that mediumship as means of progress. In the other hand, if you have a spirit with good intentions that do not have an opened mediumship, it's a matter of developing the physical senses. So it's not about our spiritual faculty, it's about our physical senses. And again, that's practice. In the medium's book, we see that we have to practice. It's a practice. It's like if we do want to do that, as we were doing, for example, on our internal mediumistic meetings. When we started, there were people that wouldn't give any messages or receive any messages, and now there are people that do. So those are things that you develop your sense. As Patricia was saying, sometimes I don't know if that's my mind or if that's a spirit suggestion. It's going to get clearer. So that is the development of a physical sense. Of course.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, friends, we are over time. Does anyone have any more questions? Please feel free to send me a message. I'll be happy to talk to you later. And next week we will continue this discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's do a closing prayer. Is anyone willing to do a closing prayer? Gina? Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it. So let us close our eyes as we lift our hearts and our minds towards our divine Heavenly Father. Say hello to Father, Father God. In this moment, Heavenly Father, we ask for your blessings. We ask that you open our hearts and our minds to understand the lessons that we are here to take in. We ask, Father, as we rest this evening, that we continue to go to school and to learn, to pray, and to be of service for our other brothers and sisters that are in need, if it is your will, Father. We ask that you bless each and every soul that is here. And then we ask, Father, that you allow us to continue being in your love and grace as we humbly ask that you bless the closing of this service. In your name, so be it.
So be it. And so it is. All right. Thank you, Gina.
Mhm.
All right,
Thanks,
everyone.
Gina.
So
Thanks,
thank you.
Kiki.
Thank you, Kiki.
There's
Great
the-
class.
Yeah, very good.
Amen.
Thank you.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Have a good week.
Thank you. I thank you. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye,
See you next
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.